spring game, or was there anything different that made this game better or worse than what you've seen here?
It was about like our spring's been. You know, we tried to work a lot of young players. I still have very, very big concerns about young defensive tackles and secondary. You know, we're making a little progress here and there. And I think they've probably, if we went back and looked at that first tape, we'd have a little bit better feeling about the progress they've made. But we're a long way from being able to line up in this conference. And, you know, I think the youth back there, they're going to have to make tremendous strides over the summer. And I think those young defensive tackles are going to be a big key, you know, to us as far as depth and quality of depth up front. And of course, that being said, you know, I think linebacker were very average, blue collar at best. But, you know, a lot of guys out. So try to evaluate this as a unit or a team. I don't know how you do it. You know, Frank, I told you that since day one. I don't know how you evaluate it when you don't play all your players. But the biggest objective I think we had coming in the spring was to develop those young players. And frankly, I think we've got a long way to go.
What in particular, especially in the secondary, do you need to work on or need to have them work on during the summer?
Well, I do see some improvement, I think, fundamentally. Technique, some of those things. We're going to have to work more man-to-man technique in practice if we're going to play the game, period. Just too many missed assignments. Some of them not getting the big picture. But again, now, remember these guys, one of them just walked in here in January from high school, one of them just walked in here in January from prep school, and we got two other redshirt freshmen. Jimmy Legree, I think, made some progress this spring, redshirt junior, redshirt sophomore. And Corey Addison has basically not done anything with that hamstring, so that was a big disappointment in the development of the big picture back there. But all that being said, I mean, young players are young players, and they're going to make mistakes. And like I said, we probably have made more improvement than I realize because you see it on a day-to-day basis. But when I look at the big picture, I think we're a long, long, long way from being a quality defense.
Kind of continuing that thought on the boundary safety, you know, what's it going to take for you to make that decision between now and camp, whether the move for Devontae would stick?
Well, if I had to do it today, I wouldn't move him back there. I'm not sure he doesn't need to move in the box, but his next move is not going to be back to boundary safety. I don't think that's the answer. He's played back there for us for 2 years, out of position. Probably, as far as quarterbacking the secondary, he was doing a better job of that than anybody we had. Now, that's what we're missing back there. We don't have anybody back there that's making the right decisions and getting everybody else lined up. DJ's going to have to step up. He's had a great spring as far as playmaking, but he's going to have to step up if we're going to play young people around him. And right now, that's not what we're getting. Last year, Devontae, you know, was telling everybody else what to do. And frankly, a couple of times he got out of position because of that. He's occupied with trying to check coverages and tell somebody where they need to be and all that. We do miss that back there. I miss his presence and some of those things, but that's not where he needs to play. And the longer I've seen him in spur linebacker, the better off I think we are playing him up there around the box. And probably need to blitz him more because we couldn't blitz for pressure today, but we need to blitz him more and use him in that respect rather than back there covering deep zone.
Coach, you mentioned Jimmy Legree a little bit. As this spring, has it been kind of what we saw today? Was that indicative of what he's done this spring, or is that just kind of what the picks he had?
I didn't really notice a lot of individual stuff today. If you ask me how Jimmy played, I don't have to go back and look at film. A lot of other things going on. Jimmy's had a steady improvement as the spring's come along and made some plays each day. He sort of got out of the rut he's been in for 2 years. He looks like he knows how to finish plays now. He's been in position to make plays, you know, the previous 2 years. Doesn't ever seem to make the play. But he's finished a few plays this spring and made some things happen and shows some promise. We were almost going to move him to one of the safety spots and finish the week to see what kind of chemistry we had back there with him and DJ, but we thought it was probably better just to leave those young ones alone. They need all they can get. We'll evaluate this film. Maybe I think Coach is going to practice once or twice again this week. We got 2 left. I don't know whether he's going to use them or not, but if he does, it'll be primarily for the quarterbacks, and that'll be good for us because our young secondary guys get a lot of work. And at the end of spring, we've got to make a decision. Do we move Jimmy Legree inside and maybe let him play one of those safety spots? And he's shown enough things during the spring that possibly that's a good look. But the worst thing you can do to a young player who's getting better is take take his reps away. So it's gonna be a tough decision, but at some point in time, light's gonna have to come on one of those guys out back, or we're gonna have to make a move.
Coach, you mentioned the youth on the defensive line and elsewhere. So how important is it for the guys with experience to kind of help move that process along, and have they been doing a good job with that?
Well, it's hugely important, and I really think that's a different picture than the secondary. You've got Travian Robinson, Jared has had a good spring, Devin Taylor, he didn't get to go any today. Melvin didn't, I don't think Melvin went, I'm not sure. He might coach the punt, kickoffs work, kicking game work, I don't think Melvin scrimmaged. But you put those guys back out there, and all of a sudden, we don't have problems up there. I don't know if we have the kind of quality depth you got to have to win an SEC. I keep hearing everybody talk about we've arrived now, we're going to challenge for an SEC championship. We don't have the quality of depth on this football team right now to make that statement. I think it's a reach at best to say that we're at that point, because it's so grinding and grueling to get through this conference. With the same 11 players, you just can't do it. So that's where we're concerned. We know those two young ones can play, and their improvement was very, very sporadic. So, but that's more of a depth thing than looking for a guy who can start. So, Kelsey and JT, they worked hard this spring, and I think improved in a lot of ways. But there's still a huge question mark there. They can make some great improvements over the summer in conditioning and strength training, but it's going to have to be back in preseason again and learning how to play football with their eyes and their technique, reading blocks, getting off blocks, pass rush, and all those type things before they're going to be the kind of players we've got to have them step up and be. But Travian and Jared will be okay. The move with Kenny Smith has been a pretty good move. He's done some good things on the other side of the ball, is what I hear in the staff meeting, so he's not coming back. Corey Robinson's got to start improving. But all those young guys are going to be guys going to be our 2 deep. Secondary situation, we're looking for somebody to step up and play down there.
At will, how has Jeffrey done in his move there, and how many snaps did Shaq play tonight, and what's his status with his hamstring going forward?
Shaq's hamstring has been fine, and that's don't jinx him. We have really been overly cautious. He's probably gotten anywhere from 15 to 25 snaps of practice, and in some practices he's been held out. I'm going to guess. I told my grad assistant today to put him in that Mike for a couple of plays here and there, put him in that Will for a couple of plays, and just give those other guys a breather when they needed it. So I don't know what he ended up with. I would say that he probably ended up playing 12 plays. I don't know. That's just a guess. I've been pleased with DeMario in some respects. He's a very intelligent kid, and when he moved from spur to Will, there's some coverage aspects there's a carryover. So he immediately was pretty good in our coverage things that we're doing. He's gotten his hands on several balls this spring, but he doesn't make any catches. He's got to catch the ball, make some interceptions on chance. He's got tremendous range, length. You talk about stuff in basketball, and there's a lot of similarities in coverage. And he's really made some good plays on the ball, but we hadn't come up with any balls. So that's one thing I want to see him do. In the box, against the run, he's got a little tougher. Big, tall guys like him, they struggle to take on blocks sometimes, especially lead blocks from backs coming out of the backfield. He's gotten a little bit better at that, and the main thing, he's gotten tougher and taking them on. So I think as he improves in the run game, some of it's knowledge, where to fit, and those type of things. But overall, that's been the right move for him. If he makes another move, he might play some Mike. He's smart enough to learn both. And what I think it's going to help, I think we're getting to the point right now, we've got a few linebackers you don't have to take off the field on 3rd down. And these no-huddle teams now that want to trick you and run people on and all of a sudden on 3rd down, they're going to jump around and snap the ball on 1st down. It's hard sometimes to substitute those cover guys and rush guys to special situations. So it's good to have a linebacker like him that can cover.
Let Ellis go. Keep this thing rolling.
Good.
Thanks, Ellis.